right. Welcome, Idoloonie Nation. I'm Michael Slezak from TVLine.com, and we have the final American Idol winner, Trent Harmon, here with us.
Thank you, sir.
Has it sunk in?
It sinks in levels. You know, like yesterday I got to do live with Kelly and Michael. That was a level.
That's...
You know, that was something that, you know, I sit at home in my underwear and I eat cereal and watch Kelly and Michael, and now I'm talking to them. And so
right.
That was like another level. And I think it's going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
You know? So
was Kelly and Michael everything you wanted to be?
actually, they were nicer than I expected. Like, I knew they'd be nice, but I didn't know that we would just sit there and talk for 10 minutes because they wanted to.
Right.
And that's always refreshing, you know. Even with the idols, like, they were the same way. They're just nice, just because.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They didn't have to be.
They didn't have to be. It's always awesome when people don't have to be, and they still are.
Do any of the levels of sinking in include, like, just, like, spontaneously bursting into tears and being like, I want Idol? The show put me up in, like, the nicest room over the Essex house, and I had, like, this total Pretty Woman moment where I laid in the bath and I was like, dude, I made it, Mama, I made it. You know, I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I wish you were here. You know, yeah, it's just in levels. You know, I still don't really realize that I won. Like this morning, I got up and I did my warm ups and I started practicing Chandelier and I said, wait, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this today. I don't have to do it anymore. Right.
So.
Although, hopefully there's a lot of warm-ups in your future.
Oh, I'm going to keep warming up. You know, one day it'll pay off.
You just meant today.
Just
you don't
today.
Have to, but not going
yeah,
forward.
Yeah.
Tell me, pre-audition wise, how far had your music career gotten? What opportunities did you have there? I know you tried out for The Voice at one point, and after that, like, is there anything extra you did to get yourself prepped, knowing you were coming to audition for Idol? Talk about that process.
I just had a conversation with a friend that did pretty well on The Voice in the same season I was there, and she said, Trent, you know, you were hanging with everybody that was there. She said you just didn't have the experience on the stage. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. That's what it's like. It's knowing what camera to look at. It's knowing when to pull the microphone this way. And I just didn't know it. I was ignorant to all of that. You know, I just didn't know. And once I didn't do anything at The Voice, I kind of just went home, thought about my whole life, how I got to this point. And I took any gig I could. I mean, if it was the class of 1942 class reunion, I was doing it, man. Like, I actually did. That's a real number. Like, my grandma's high school reunion, like, every year. I still do it. Probably do it this year because those are the people that supported me. Those are the people that were voting. But I learned a lot of pro tips from The Voice. Like, I learned how to warm up, that it was important to stay warmed up and to keep a water or a tea in your hand all the time. But no, I mean, I really didn't have a lot going on. I wanted to. I was begging people, please help me make an EP. Please let me play at your coffee shop. And it just didn't happen. Yeah. Where you were, there weren't a lot of music things happening. There weren't. And then, you know, why? I don't know. But that's just how I was.
You came in with Unaware, which I thought was one of the best auditions of the season. Did you go in there and feel like, wow, I slayed this? Did you feel like you were going to slay that song?
Honestly, I knew the words to that song.
Okay.
And I love it. Love Alan Stone, you know. And somebody said, can we, it was a comment like on YouTube or something, said, can we applaud this man on the genius of picking this song? And it wasn't until I read that comment I was like, genius of picking that song. I was like, everybody in the world should know that song. That's a great song. It wasn't a genius move. Everybody in the world should have that song on their phone. But I went back and listened to it, and I didn't think I did it necessarily as well as I had planned on doing it. But more importantly than that, I came across normal. Right. And that was so important to me because TV can make you look crazy. Right. You can take a sane man and make him look crazy. And I just looked normal. I just looked like a normal, regular dude that sings and plays guitar. And that was so important for the first thing that people perceived on the other end of television. Yeah. It's just a normal guy. Yeah, absolutely. You know? It's got a little bit of move and groove to it, which, you know, I think there's that tendency to pick a ballad because you're going to be standing in a room with no music. And if somebody can get a little bit of rhythm going as well, that's refreshing. Yeah.
It's like the Fantasia experience, you know, from day one. Group rounds, you got mono.
Oh, gosh.
How bad was the mono at the point you got on stage? How toxic were you? Were other people, like, fleeing the scene as you approached them? And what was your mental state? Because that's got to be, like, you're not going to be able to come back next season. There is no next season. How horrified were you at that moment?
It was as bad as you can imagine. I told my roommate the night before, I said, Cameron, something's wrong, man. I because I try to do some kind of workout every night or every morning when I wake up. I said, Cameron, I can't do a push-up. Something's wrong. Like I can't do one. And I said, I just keep falling asleep in these meetings, like these meetings that are super important that we're supposed to be taking notes. And I'm on camera. I'm on camera in these meetings, and and they're saying, get the guy in the hat out of here. He keeps falling asleep. What's wrong with him? And I'm thinking, what is wrong with him? What's wrong with me? And it was bad. It was bad. I lost like 10 or 12 pounds that week because I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep. And in my head, whenever the doctor called and said, Trent, you have mono, full blown, like as bad as I've seen it. Like you have a full blown case of it. You need to come home. And I said, you got the wrong number. I'll call you back. And so he texted me and he said, this is not a drill. You're sick, bro. You need to come home. It's bad. And I said, look, I made it this far. I'm not coming home until they cut me. And then they did. They were like, look, you got to go home. If you give mono to everybody, we can't have a show. And I said, look, I didn't break a rule. I could have gotten mono from somebody out here the first time I came out here.
Right.
Nobody I know has mono.
Right. And
they said, you know what? That's a good point. If you can make it on your own, go after it. But you can't touch anybody and you can't be around anyone in any capacity.
Wow.
You're on your own.
Wow. So you get out there on stage, you do Rather Be, and you actually were moving around the stage.
I was moving, man. I don't know how to move. Like it was, but I knew that I had to be 4 humans in one person, like in one body. And that's what Mr. Michael Orland, he said, look, you can sing. Cool. Everybody here can sing. You got to move. You got to move. He said, and I know that you're not a mover. He said, you got to go figure something out. He said, go watch the Stones. Go watch, he said, go watch somebody that moves on a stage. He said, go get some moves like Jagger. Literally. He's like, you got to move. You got to move, Trent. He said, it's going to get boring.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How bad was the mono at that point? Were you still in like the total throes of it? Because the vocal was good.
That was the worst point. That was the worst part. It may have gotten a little bit worse on towards Thanksgiving break, but that was the worst part of it. Was right there. Wow. Fever and everything. Like I had 100 and something fever. Like and that day.
Do you even remember it at this point, or is it sort of a blur?
I remember every excruciating second of it. I hate the answer like, oh, it happened so fast I don't remember it. No, sir. I remember it.
Was it good training for what was to come once you got to the live shows?
I think so, because Mr. Keith Urban said, Trent, you sang well. You sang well. We all knew this guy could sing from his audition. He said, but it wasn't that you sang well. It was that you showed up and sang in spite.
Right.
He said, we were like, look, we need to give this kid a shot because if he makes it, he's going to make it because he shows up even when he's sick.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He said, we let you go through because you just tried to sing.
Yeah. And you didn't bring a whole lot of drama to the screen either. I mean, it was dramatic because they wanted you to go home because you were sick. But you weren't like a dramatic mess.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I didn't really want to push it. I didn't want the sympathy vote. I don't know. I just didn't want it. I was like, look, just leave me alone and I'll sing. And like, if you want to make a big deal out of it, that's on y'all. I'm okay with that. So that's your business. But as far as me, I'm just going to practice and by myself and show up when it's time to sing.
Going into Top 24, J-Lo talked a lot about the 15-ness of the contestants. There were a lot of young kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like the music business right now is very youth-driven. You're almost an old man at this point.
I'm old. I'm old. I was the oldest contestant on the show, and I feel like as far as the socials and as far as being interactive with the fans, the young kids, I say the young kids, I'm still a kid kind of, but like they should have been kicking my butt, on socials and stuff, but I knew that it was imperative that I check in with my fans. I treat my supporters like meals, and if I've told them that, I said, look guys, I'm going to check in with you at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Like meals?
Meals.
I thought you said mules, and I was like,
no.
No. Where are you going with that?
No, meals.
M-E-A-L-S.
Yeah. Okay. I check in with them, and the younger contestants, I figured that they would pick up on that, and some of them did, some of them didn't. But like I took it home. Like I took it every day. I checked in with them 3 times a day, and then you have snacks, which it's just like you check in when you can. And but I just made it a priority because it is. If you want to do anything in any sphere of music, you better be on your socials. On your social game.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about that, like, Snapchat stuff, but I can handle the Twitter.
Snap is scary. Snap is scary, man. Yeah,
that's the one with the ghost, right?
It's the ghost. Yeah, for a good reason. Yeah, that's a good, I've never thought about that.
I'm not on that one.
It's a ghost.
All right, so you get to Top 24 week, and I thought you came out really strong in Top 24 with What Are You Listening To and with your duet with Jordan.
Really, I love singing that song.
Yeah. What made you pick that as like sort of your first? I know still the judges were kind of in control at that point. It wasn't necessarily as votey a season for the public, but it was kind of that's when the competition started to ramp up. What made you pick that one?
I've always wanted to sing that song. I had 3 goals a long time ago. I said if I ever get the chance to sing Unaware, What Are You Listening To, and When a Man Loves a Woman. Because that's just 3 of my cornerstone of my set. Like if I go do a set, I'm going to do those 3. Okay. I did them the other day at Children's Hospital, and like I got a chance to do it, and I knew that nobody in the room was going to know that song. Mm-hmm. But I was banking on one person knowing it, and that was Keith Urban. Right. And at the end of it, he put a button on it so perfectly because he said, "No one in here knew that song, Trent, but they're going to go look it up now." Mm-hmm. And it was pin drop quiet whenever I was singing it. And I was so worried that it wasn't going over well. But I looked out in the crowd, and everyone they were looking up the song. And the next morning, it was at the top of the search list on iTunes. And I picked it because it's just a good song, man. You know, if you've ever gotten dumped, which most people have in life, you can relate. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. There's sometimes a lot of comments from the judges like, you should pick something more well-known. But I actually think a lot of times picking something that people don't know as well can work even better because there's that excitement of hearing a good song for the first time is exciting. Yep, and it went over well with the contestants too because, especially my roommate Manny, who I love to death, you know, and he was like, Trent, you're picking this song that nobody knows. Like, this is suicide. This is not a good call at this point in the game. And I said, do you know the song? Let me sing it for you. Go look up his cover of it on Facebook. Okay. He covered it. I mean, it's his favorite song now. We sung it every night on Periscope because he loved it so much. And I wanted to sing it. I wanted to pay homage to Mr. Stapleton and Alan Stone. Like, I just wanted to do that because they pushed me. That's the music I love. I want to do it for them. They don't need me to do it, but I want to do it anyways. And at the same time, you've got a duet with Jordan. Was there a lot of time to prep for that? It seemed like I always feel like duets on the show, contestants always say there's not a lot of time to prep duets, but you kind of held your own with her, and it was very early in the season, I thought, to bring in all-stars. Very early. We didn't have a lot of time, but the good thing about Jordan Sparks is she doesn't care if there's a lot of time. She's going to make time. She stayed late. She got there early, and Manny and I both worked with her, and she did it. She was fair with both of us, and she would say, look, guys, I don't feel like your songs are good enough with me at this point, and I'm not going to outshine you, but just naturally, I'm going to bring my A game because I'm Jordan, and I'm going to prepare and do my part. You're going to get here early tomorrow. We're going to stay late tonight, and you're going to do well. Wow! And that was a turning point for me because I accredit a lot of me staying in the game to her. I mean, she didn't have to do all those things, but she just wanted. She truly, like, Mama Goose just like wanted us to do good, and she said, "I'm not going to outshine you boys. I want you to do good. I want you to do well." And then look, here we are. Yeah, you know? Absolutely. All right, we're going to pause here. We're going to come back with part 2 momentarily. Hopefully, this thing is still on.